Yeah, it's not a question of it being passed. It's going to be imposed on Hong Kong. One of the many breaches of both the joint declaration and the basic law. Look, this is, in effect, an attempt to end one country, two systems. It produces one country, one system. It's in breach of almost anything you want to point at, whether the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or the agreement that Hong Kong should have a high degree of autonomy. And the extraordinary thing is, which rather demonstrates what I'm saying, is that at least until the last day or two, apparently the chief executive, while saying how much he was in favor of it, hadn't actually seen it. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And it's designed to ensure that the Hong Kong freedoms, autonomy that we've regarded as being guaranteed until 2047 are put on ice, they're got rid of, in order for the Chinese equivalent of the KGB to be able to run Hong Kong in whatever ways they want. So it's bad news for Hong Kong. And if this was a football game, it's yet another example of why China or the Chinese communist regime should get a red card.
So you see this as an opportunity for the Communist Party of China to basically establish a secret police in Hong Kong?
Well, that's what they're doing. I mean, they've said they're going to establish a national security office in Hong Kong. It's not going to be run by the St. Vincent de Paul Society. It's going to be run by Chinese security agents. And what they will be wanting to do is to target anybody who disagrees. We don't know, because they haven't told us, they haven't told people in Hong Kong, even though they've got posters all around Hong Kong saying that this is a great law for Hong Kong. We don't actually know the detail of what they're proposing yet. We just have leaks. Will it enable them to pursue people retrospectively for things they've done? How will it define issues like sedition and subversion? How will it deal with people's contacts with outside bodies, whether they're NGOs or churches, let alone journalists?
These national security provisions are outlined in Article 23 of the Basic Law, which has not been implemented as it is constitutionally required by the Legislative Council. For 23 years, they have failed to do that. Wouldn't you say that, well, at least the Beijing authorities say, because they did not pass on their own Article 23, we had to do it ourselves? Do you buy that argument at all?
Not remotely, because most of the things which they talk about are actually already illegal under Hong Kong law. You can go through the crimes ordinance. You can go other pieces of go through other pieces of legislation that touch on treason and terrorism and sedition and so on. Those things are already made illegal, but they're not made illegal in the way that China wants, because China wants to be able to define those things in a way which runs counter to most views around the world on human rights and international human rights law. There is no shortage of law on public order in Hong Kong. If that was the case, how come that almost 10,000 people have been arrested for demonstrating, many of them peacefully, over the last few months? Hong Kong has those laws. What China wants and wanted in 2003 is the sort of law which would be unacceptable to people in Hong Kong, because it would take away some of their basic freedoms. That's what the argument is about, not whether there should be national security law.